All right, let's see if we can try this again. Oh my lordy my. Tags. What's up? Good morning, everybody. Give it a second to let me fix a couple of things since I had to launch this like this. Okay, we're back. We lost everybody, but we're back. Thank you, Comcast. Comcast is amazing. Bro, I almost lost my mind. I had to call these people. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not going to make this stream about Comcast. But it's so frustrating. But in December, I should have a different company. Testing. See. Bro. Okay, there we go. Good. Amazing. Well, thank you to the people that came back, man. I appreciate it. All kinds of difficulties. I had to call these people. Just unbelievable, man. Hopefully it I don't know what's going on over there on the screen. Oh my god. Let me just sip up this this chamomile tea. It's gonna be okay. Got a couple of things that I wanted to show you guys. With regards to Cleo. Amazing that she was found, huh? Amazing. How often do we get good news like that? Not that often. Chamomile life, seriously, man. I need to get, this is not even the good stuff. I gotta buy the gangster stuff I ran out of. So I'm gonna have to go to the store and pick up the gangster chamomile. Oh my god. Let me pull up this picture that I wanted to show you guys. I mean, we rarely ever get good news like this. Let me show you this first before we get to the video clips. There is video of this guy too in the ambulance. How nice is that, huh? The miracle we hope for. So that is that one. Let me show you another one too. I thought this map was pretty good, like detailed and stuff. Let me get myself off the screen for a second. So this is where Cleo was found. And this is where the family home is. Oh, it's not that far. We're going to take a look at one of the press conferences. We're going to take a look at some of the video of when she was taken out of the house. And some of the neighbors as well. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting like, I'd appreciate that. Rough start, but we're here. The bio father has been completely like he's not involved at all, like with this situation, and the parents aren't either. But this is the stepfather to Cleo. So let me start out with this. I want to show you this press conference, and then we're going to get into the neighbors and what they had to say. And thank you, Kato, for sending me all the links. Let me just, while I play this, I'm going to optimize the stream a little bit because I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to. I had everything planned. Everything got thrown upside down. It's not a day if something doesn't go wrong, right?
Good afternoon. Firstly, can I just introduce who we have here with us? Obviously, the Minister for Police, Assistant Commissioner Brad Royce of our State Crime. Next to him is the Senior Investigating Officer for this task force, Detective Inspector Quinton Flatman. Detective Superintendent Rod Wild is the head of the task force. You'll all know Inspector John Munday, who led the land search and commanded the crime scene out at the blowholes, and Detective Senior Sergeant Cameron Blaine of the Homicide Squad was one of the 4 officers that actually went in and rescued this girl. What a great day. We now have returned Cleo to her loving parents. It's a wonderful day for this little girl and her loving family. It is a really special day for Western Australia. Indeed, I know the nation is rejoicing over the fact that we've been able to conduct this operation and we never gave up hope. And I know that Cleo's parents never gave up hope, and it is just such a wonderful opportunity for me to say thank you. But before I say any more words, can I allow Minister Paul Papalia to say a few words?
Thanks, Commissioner. If you feel the need to thank God today, thank God for the Western Australian Police Force. Cleo's rescue wasn't the result of an accidental sighting or a suspicious event. It was the result of hard police grind. From the moment this incident began, the Western Australian Police Force conducted themselves to the absolute highest level of professionalism. Western Australians are already incredibly proud of our police force for having kept them the safest place on the globe through this pandemic. Now they have added reason to be incredibly proud of the Western Australian Police Force for delivering Cleo from this nightmare and bringing a little bit of sunshine into an otherwise dark world. And Chris.
Thanks, Minister. Look, to Ellie and Jake and the family, we're so thankful, and for those of you that have been hoping, wishing and praying that we were able to find little Cleo alive and give her back to you in your arms, it is just a wonderful, wonderful day, and it's a day we all hope for. Look, I'm just so proud of the team that I have behind me, but there's 140 in this team. Many of them are still at work here right now, and there's a whole bunch of them back in Perth. We will be working through this for the next week or two at least. There's much more work yet to be done, but I'm just the proudest police commissioner, I think, in the world at the moment. To the team that have worked tirelessly.
That's a good question. I saw Abby saying, someone said it was through social media he was found. I read on the Daily Mail, which we're going to get into in a minute. I didn't get to pre-read too much, so sorry. But they said it was like a tip-off on there. So I don't know what is what, really. It's interesting that you say that. Also, on the comment section from the video that I did last night, we're talking about Cleo being found. Somebody said that they didn't appreciate too, and it's true. I think it was Daily Mail, if I'm not mistaken. They said that there was a 4-hour gap between the parents reporting it to police that she was missing. And it turns out, and I think police said it, Cato sent me an article somewhere, that wasn't true. That wasn't true. So that's interesting as well. And why would they report that? And where did they get that from? You know?
Honestly, police officers and analysts, our forensic officers, the people behind the scenes, our media team, they've gelled together from day one here. From the moment Inspector John Munday and the uniformed officers declared a protected forensic scene within minutes of arrival, that commenced an enormous operation to the outcome that was achieved at about 1 a.m. this morning, when 4 officers went in and broke down the door and found little Cleo in a room. And as you can see, she's alive, she's safe, and she's back with Mum and Dad. We said we wouldn't give up, we said we would keep on searching, and we dared to hope. I'd like to extend my gratitude also to Premier Mark McGowan and Minister Paul Papalia. The state government have stood behind the Western Australian Police Force. We're not wanting for resources. They immediately offered a $1 million reward. But beyond the state government, I really want to thank not only the immediate family, the town of Carnarvon stood up. We had volunteers, we had the SES, we had the Army, we had private companies. Everyone wanted to achieve what actually some never thought would happen. And I really want to extend my thanks to all who've been either searching, those that have sent well wishes. The police station here is full of flowers and chocolates already. Not that these blokes need it, but at the same time, I just really want to reinforce my thanks to all of Western Australia, indeed Australia, and I've already had messages across the country from police and indeed those across the world. Look, I extend my thanks also to the media. You've kept this story running and front of mind for everyone, and that's really important because we needed to get these messages out, and I thank you for keeping the hope of finding Cleo alive a real and a present story which we now can all celebrate in terms of this. To the people of Western Australia, you are our eyes and ears. You gave us lots of information. It's still coming in, and we, one, appreciate what you've already provided for us and what is yet still to come. We have one 36-year-old man in custody. He is assisting police with our inquiries at the moment. I'm not going to elaborate further in terms of that man, other than saying he's a local man from Carnarvon, and we will be having something further to say later. I once again...
And I hear that his name is floating around, Cato told me, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm going to show you in a little bit after this a video. I think it shows his face a little bit. I hear a name floating around. I haven't seen the name myself, but it's unconfirmed so far. Thank you, Jersey, so much for the super chat. Keep up the great work, Mel. Thank you, guys. Angelit, Angel Little. Thank you so much too, Angelit. And I appreciate you guys joining me now with all the issues that I had this morning. I took a little break, and when I come back, I'm already having issues. I'll just let you. I was about to snap. I was uncomfortable. I don't even want to say it. Oh my God.
Reinforce my thanks to a great team.
Want the audio a little bit louder? Hold on. Press through. Let me see what the audio is. I just got to remember to adjust it back. Turn it up a little bit for you guys.
Assisted by a great community. The town of Carnarvon can stand strong. And as a community, I do appeal to the community to come together as you have. Yes, we have one man in custody, but that is not the town of Carnarvon. You know, that is one person. And I want the town of Carnarvon and everyone else to come together as a community as we move forward, and we can rejoice that this little girl's been found, but we need to move forward as a community as well. So with those few words, thank you for your assistance, and I'll invite Oddball to say a few words.
Thanks. Excuse me. Thank you, Commissioner. I also would like to thank the community. It's been a fantastic effort. From day one, we were seeking assistance. We had over 1,000.
Yeah, I think nappies are diapers. I was wondering that too myself. I was like, what do they mean by nappies? Supposedly diapers, I guess.
Calls from the community, from people around Western Australia providing information. So we're extremely grateful for that. Also the media, businesses, everyone that got on board. We couldn't have done this without you. To my team as well, thank you. It was just a fantastic effort. People worked basically without sleep from the first occurrence when this happened 17, 18 days ago. They were here and they worked tirelessly. They never gave up hope, and we got the result that we're all so grateful for. Take questions if you like.
Right. As the chief investigator in this case, when you got that early morning phone call this morning, and you saw that body cam vision with the little girl saying, "My name is Cleo," what were your emotions?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was. It was very emotional to see that. It's something, like I said, we hoped for. We obviously had real concerns for Cleo's welfare, and as time passed by, they grew worse. So to see that, it was just amazing. It was an amazing outcome.
And statistically, it doesn't often turn out like this. So what were the emotions of the team when you thought we found it?
Look, the same thing, I think. Look, people were in tears. It's fair to say it was just an amazing outcome. We hoped, we kept working with that belief that we could get there, we could find Cleo. And look, I don't know what happened, but we were lucky and we did.
How much did that non-mobile phone data have to do with the arrest?
Look, that's part of the investigation. That's certainly that we collected a lot of data. That's what we do in these types of investigations. It's a thorough investigation. You would have seen officers going around to every CCTV location within Carnarvon, within 1,000 kilometres. So that's the level of detail you go to in these investigations. We collected that information, then we have to analyse, and then we look for what we're looking for, and we were lucky we found it.
Was there a tip-off?
It was the hard work. It was the hard work of the team that did it.
That's true, Barbie. Because we're talking about in the chat, which, by the way, the chat, it's kind of nice to see the funny stuff because it's making me laugh, and I kind of needed that. So thank you for the crazy people and the normal people and the crazy people. ASCH, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the updates, Mel, and hit the like button. They're talking about the diaper thing and why did this guy buy diapers or nappies? I got no idea. Maybe this guy never had kids. Hopefully he's never had kids. Has no idea what he's doing. Maybe he just thought to buy that. Sometimes two kids are still potty training at 4 and 5, but Barbie brought up a good point too. Sometimes kids at night, they're potty trained, but at night they're still learning. Nighttime sleeping is a little bit different than just during the day when they're awake. And that's a process too. So maybe that's what it was for. But who knows with this guy, right? Who knows what his thought process was?
Analysing all of that information, gathering it all, working through it, and finding that needle in that haystack.
There is a rumour among locals that the police were made aware of her whereabouts after some local kids actually broke into the house. Is there any truth?
No, that's not true.
Is there a tip-off, Rod?
Then we have to analyse, and then we look for what we're looking for, and we were lucky we found it.
Was there a tip-off?
It was the hard work. It was the hard work of the team that did it, analysing all of that information, gathering it all, working through it, and finding that needle in that haystack.
There is a rumour among locals that...
So I was kind of wondering to what his answer was going to be with regards to the tip-off, because people were asking that, and I saw that in the article, and he just kind of like evaded it and said it's the hard work, and we looked at information, so I don't know.
Police were made aware of her whereabouts after some local kids actually broke into the house. Is there any truth?
No, that's not true.
I saw a rumour about local kids breaking in, not true.
Tip-off, Rod, that police were acting on?
No, there wasn't. So, like I say, it was really the analysis, all the work of the team, going through that to get us where we were, where we are today.
The article that I just read, it said it was a tip-off. So, but then again, this is the same article that said there was a 4-hour gap between the parents calling police. So now, I guess that you can't trust it. I guess what they're saying, what the article is saying, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I think in the early days, it was a methodical investigation. We had to gather all of this information, all of this evidence, put it all together, paint the picture of what happened, interview all the witnesses, speak to everyone who was out there so we could understand exactly what happened. Then it's a matter of piecing it through, working out who was where at the wrong time, and that's what's happened.
When did this man become a suspect? Was it yesterday?
It was only yesterday.
How's mum and dad?
They're ecstatic, obviously. They got the little girl back.
Rod, was he...
The picture says so much, but can you tell us a bit more about how she's going?
Look, I haven't. I wasn't there this morning. The team were there, but she's a beautiful little girl.
Rod, was the 36-year-old at the house when officers arrived?
No, look, I can't go into that at this time.
Can you tell us whether or not you believe...
The article said that I read that he wasn't at the house at the time. That she was there by herself at the time. That's what I read.
Cleo was at that house for the entire time that she's been missing?
Yeah, again, that's something that we're investigating.
Do you think he was acting alone, Rod?
We're not. There's no other person that we suspect being involved.
At this stage, can you confirm that she was definitely abducted from the campsite?
I can confirm that, yes.
The car that you were looking for so long in the past, turning south towards Carnarvon, was it that car?
Look, investigations are still ongoing in relation to that, but I'd say that's a crucial piece of information as well.
Can you confirm it was indeed a sedan?
We can't at this time, but like I say, it's a piece of information we're still investigating.
Rod, was this, do you think, planned or opportunistic?
Look, it appears as if it was opportunistic.
So there's no link between
the man in custody and Cleo and Cleo's family in any way?
No.
Was this man on that list of known sex offenders that police commissioner?
Nope.
No, he wasn't.
There is some suggestion from locals that this man perhaps maybe people have discussed the possibility of him being unhealthily interested in children before. Were police aware of that?
Look, we hadn't received any of that information.
Was he known to local police at all?
Look, I can't go into that, obviously, given the legal proceedings.
Can you tell us when Cleo's parents found out the good news?
Look, it was shortly after we found her. So shortly afterwards, some of our officers had probably the best job in the world of taking her back to her parents.
Did they know in advance?
Yeah, we took her to hospital, obviously, to make sure she's okay. She was reunited with her parents along the way, so it happened pretty quickly, but yeah, look, it was fantastic.
Right, does she appear to be physically okay?
Look, she does, yeah. She's out of the hospital, she's back with her mum again.
Can you talk about the planning from when this man became a suspect last night and to when you arrived at the home early this morning?
Yeah, look, it happened fairly rapidly, as these things do. So we plan around that. So as part of the operation, we have planning for that. If we identify a suspect, there's a set of things we go through, and it was very much like that. The team, led by Senior Sergeant Blown on the ground, did a fantastic job. So they rolled into that. They hadn't slept. They worked through the night, and it was just a brilliant outcome.
Who actually broke the great news to Cleo's parents, and what did he say about how it felt?
Well, I believe that was Cameron. He may be...
Right behind it, if you could.
So we can come and say.
Cameron can talk about what it was like being there.
Yeah. Go on, Cam.
Cameron, are you the father, Brian?
I am, yes.
Cameron, can I ask you, as a father, you were there when Cleo was found. How was your emotion?
Well, shock to start with, quickly followed by elation, obviously, and you know, I was just, it could have been any one of the team that were here. It just turned out that I was one of, you know, 4 guys that were fortunate enough to go through that door and make that rescue. But you know, we'd always hoped for that outcome, but still, we're not prepared for it. So, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And originally, it was, you know, to see her sitting there and in the way that she was, it was just incredible.
What did she say to you, Cam? What did she say to you?
Well, I asked her what her name was. One of the guys jumped in front of me and picked her up, and I, you know, I just wanted to be absolutely sure that, you know, it certainly looked like Cleo. I wanted to be absolutely sure it was her, so I said, "What's your name?" And she didn't answer, and I said, "What's your name?" She didn't answer again, so I asked her a 3rd time, and then she looked at me and she said, "My name's Cleo," and it was, and that was it. So then we turned around and walked out of that house, and not long after that, got into the car, and the officer I was with, Detective Sergeant Hutchinson, who was the family liaison officer, called Cleo's parents and said, "We've got someone here that wants to speak to you." And it was, you know, a wonderful feeling to be able to make that call. So,
what was their reaction?
Oh, you can imagine, just absolute surprise, and they were ecstatic. So things developed so quickly. You know, we didn't really have time to prepare them, and certainly didn't want to give them any false expectations about what might happen. We didn't know ourselves, so you know, it's
Hey James, you should join our Discord because we have a cases area as well. Maybe you could share some of that stuff in there. Yeah, I'm curious about the guy. But yeah, we don't want to put the name out here right now. We're kind of waiting for confirmation. But that'd be interesting to see. Yeah, or at least email me, man. You know, if you can't join Discord.
It's always a delicate process, you know, when it comes to that. So, you know, still to be able to give them that news and then say, you know, please start making your way to the hospital, we'll meet you there, was fantastic. And it was really, you know, an honour and to be able to witness that reunion. So many of the guys that have been doing long days and long hours, and, you know, we're only at the pointy end here, but we're backed by a massive task force, you know, more than half of it back in Perth. But yeah, it was an honour to be able to see that reunion and have a part in doing, you know.
She was found alone. How did you find the 36-year-old?
I think Mr. Wild's already addressed that. It's not something that we
Did
can go
Cleo
into.
appear to know what was going on?
In what regard when you say going
Had she
on?
been abducted?
Look, it's really hard to say. You know, there's processes we go through, and you don't want to taint that. So, you know, in terms of recording evidence from people so young, you know, we also need to be mindful of their mental health and their welfare. So, you know, the questions that it was more or less that we were talking to her than she was talking to us. But can I say, having seen her a couple of times this morning, she's a little energizer bunny, and she, you know, how she has that much energy, I wish I did. I'm about ready to go to sleep. But she was, yeah, so just a very, very sweet, energetic girl, very, very trusting and very open with us. You know, we all wanted to take turns in holding her. So yeah, it was a really good experience.
We've spoken about Cleo's parents.
Was she physically okay? She's physically okay. Yeah, and that was evident from the start. And you know, taking to the hospital, I guess, was, you know, assurance of that from the people that know what they're doing.
We've spoken about Cleo's parents' reaction.
So they're saying she's physically okay. And that's, somebody was asking earlier too why she was in the hospital. I think they came in late, but I'm assuming that's what they got to do. If somebody's been, you know, taken and stuff like that, especially a child, they're going to have to check them out to make sure they're okay. Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Thanks, man, for all the updates, and glad she was found. I know, it's just amazing. We rarely ever get like some good news like that, right? So it's good. Should feel good. Happy for the parents. Happy that there's some sort of, you know, justice, and he'll probably bail out and be out tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Probably won't. I mean, I don't know how it works out over there in Australia.
To hear it in the news, but what was Cleo's reaction to seeing her parents for the first time?
Oh, yeah. Mummy. Big hugs, kisses, yeah, and lots of tears, you know. So, as you can expect, you know, it was...
Is this the best moment of your career?
Oh, without a doubt.
Hey Cam, what were conditions like inside the house?
I can't go into that. It's,
Yeah.
you know, all of that's part of the investigation, so it's, I don't want to go into details.
The question everyone wants to know is what led to this breakthrough. Can you confirm that there wasn't a tip-off?
I think Mr. Wild's already been asked that question and he's answered it.
Neighbours were saying that...
So police are saying it wasn't a tipper. And keep in mind, there's $1 million reward, right? So if somebody did tip it, that's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they saw the gentleman at the home with nappies and wipes, and is that something that's being looked into or at least investigated?
Yeah, again, there's lots of things.
Maybe it's a Rod question. Thank you, Ken. Neighbours were saying that that they'd seen a gentleman at the house with nappies and wipes and things that perhaps he usually wasn't buying.
Yeah, look, certainly we'll speak to them, but there was none of that information come to police.
What? Come on. We just saw it yesterday. We're going to watch that video again, by the way, and some other neighbors.
Was there evidence involved that helped in the final breakthrough?
Sorry?
Was there any particular evidence that helped in the final breakthrough?
Yeah, like I say, it was just the thoroughness of the investigation. So it was a lot of hard work. It wasn't any one particular thing. It was just the process that we go through in a major investigation, dotting all those I's, crossing those T's.
Because earlier this morning talked about a team of 10 analysts who very much assisted in solving the case. 2 of them in particular. What's the role of that team? What they do?
Yeah, look, certainly they're part of the team, part of the task force, as we do in all task force, and they have a crucial role. So a lot of that work behind the scenes around all that data analysis is what they do, and that was extremely helpful in helping us find Cleo.
Just a quick show of hands. Obviously, very very emotional. Did someone else shed a tear? Well, honest, come on.
We all did.
Who cried? Yeah. Who cried?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It was an amazing moment, and certainly after hearing that, we were all on such a high. So it was just fantastic. Look, we're still investigating.
Where in the house she was found?
In a bedroom.
Rod, there was a gentleman who was taken to hospital not long ago from the police station here. We've been told that it is the gentleman who is assisting with your inquiries. Any way could you explain what's happened to him?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Okay. And no one's probably going to be $1 million richer out of this then?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Anything more from the Commissioner or anybody else?
Do you expect charges to be laid today?
Probably today, yes.
Did you have anything to say being involved in the very early stages of the investigation for the release of this suspect?
Yeah, I'd like. Well, this is the outcome I was hoping for when we were doing the land search. Obviously, I played a part at the beginning, and the investigative team sort of took over from us once we were happy that Cleo wasn't in that search area. And this is like something I hoped for, and I'm so pleased, as been reiterated by everybody, that it's ended up this way. But it just shows the hard work and the methodical nature of the way we do things. I'm just really happy to be that we're in this position today.
Oh, look, thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
I get used to this, guys, but just this once.
With you, Joey.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
There was one comment that I saw that I thought was pretty good. JC said, I hope whatever happened to her or didn't, they do not release the details, any details on what happened or didn't happen. One day this will be a young lady, and too often the details go public. Yeah, I agree with that too. Even if something did, it probably shouldn't. It's not something really for the public. I don't know what this guy's motive was. Before I show you these, we get into the neighbors. We saw this one earlier. It's a really nice picture. This was the first picture of Cleo safe and sound in the hospital after she was rescued in Western Australia. But it says she was held for 18 days. This maybe gives hope to other people, other parents, that may be going through a similar situation. Let me just show you the map again real quick for all the new people that joined. And I appreciate you guys, the people that came back. Comcast Life. December, I should be done with Comcast, new internet. But this is like right here where she was found by police. And supposedly there's a police station like really close to where she was being held. And then this is where the parents lived on the other side of town, which is actually really not far, 7 minutes away. Pretty close. The guy's 36 years old. There's names floating around, but nothing confirmed yet. They're like it's been released. Also, the video, this ambulance thing, it says man arrested over Cleo Smith disappearance seen in ambulance. So I don't know how accurate this is or whatever, but they're saying this is the video.
Well, the 380 broader list, the police were methodically making their way through. The interesting thing as well is that, people here have described him as a lovely guy, someone that they've all grown up with, and they think it's just as unthinkable to be behind something like this. We've actually
looking crazy as hell. He's a lovely guy. That's a close-up, I guess. Kind of blurry and stuff, but... Oh yeah, let me show you guys this too.
Yeah, my name's Cameron. How are you? Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay? Is that good?
It's my privilege to announce that in the...
Amazing. So let's watch the neighbor. A couple of the neighbors. We're going to watch this clip again, and then we're going to get into some other clips of the neighbors.
Where Cleo Smith was found this morning at 1 o'clock. Yeah. We spin this way. G'day, guys. Your neighbours here. Do you know actually what's just been unfolding outside your house this morning?
No, we don't hardly know. But we was down the road there, just at my auntie's house here, and because we see him up and down in his car driving around. Yeah, but every time we see him at his house here, he'll jump in his car and he'll drive But then he'll come around and he'll like make sure I have a look at his house, but then he'll just keep driving you.
Yeah,
but
so I'll just interrupt you there, mate. So are you aware that this is the home where Cleo Smith was found this morning at 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I was there this morning, just down the road.
And describe for us what happened.
What happened was there was a detective's car there was about 2, and like, yeah, we was down the road, and then 2 jumped out, like, and then they walked in there about 10 or 11, something like that, but they ended up finding her inside there, yeah.
And how frantic were they sort of going into the house when they executed that search warrant?
Nah, we wasn't too sure, yeah, like we stayed our distance, yeah, we stood back and that, we waited, but then after that, we seen someone like on the detective's shoulder. We thought it might be that little girl now, which it was, yeah. So then I went closer to the detective's car, yeah, and I saw her in the back of the car, yeah, with the detective who was holding her, yeah.
And when you saw her in the back of the car, what was going through your mind?
I was like a bit shocked too at the same time, yeah, because the person like is in our street and yeah, like, yeah, we could walk around here, yeah, and what we do best.
And we won't reveal the name of the individual that you're neighbours with, but can you give some insight into what they're like?
If it was America, his name would be all out everywhere. His face would be on the front page. His name would be everywhere. There'd be people out there right in front of his house right now. Well, there's nobody in the house, but that's typically what they do anyway. It could be nobody in there, and they're still out there yelling and screaming.
Neighbours, like, they quiet and that there, like, they do their own thing, but everyone, like, they know the person who stays at that house there, they wouldn't think about, or wouldn't thought about it would be him or something new. But we got a shock ourselves that it was him, yeah.
And, you know, she's been there, we believe, for up to 3 weeks.
Yeah,
did you have any sign that anyone might have been taken there? Was there anything suspicious that piqued your interest over those 3 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, other day, like, I think it was Monday, we saw him in the Woolworths there buying Kimbies and that, but we didn't click on who it was, or what he was buying it for, who he was buying it for, yeah. But until now,
And are there things sort of popping into your mind now, that little things over the past 3 weeks that, you know, that spark of inspiration, that might have been something, the reason why Cleo could have been there? Is there anything else that's coming to mind now when you cast your mind back that could have given you a hint as to what was happening just next door?
Yeah, could have, but wasn't too sure about that, yeah.
Yeah, pretty incredible, guys, and you can see very much the witnesses and the neighbours here are incredulous. They're just digesting the information. It's very raw here on this street in
I got a couple messages about this guy yesterday. First, I mean, I'm happy that, you know, Cleo's found and all that. It's amazing. But yeah, I think he was either nervous or something else. This is my opinion, but, you know, it's hard to tell sometimes. Very fidgety. But a lot of people, too, they've never been on TV or anything like that. So when I first heard this, I didn't understand anything. But the second time listening to it now, I kind of heard a little bit more of his description. This was a really good video too. Oh Lord, what am I doing? Lord. Okay, can we stop that? But this is like the actual neighborhood, and you can see them kind of setting up, and we're gonna see a little bit too where it's the same guy. They're speaking to him again. I had a separate video for this guy, but I guess we could watch it here. I think it's the same thing. Oh yeah, and this one too, which she was standing next to him. So I don't know if they're together or something, but she was standing next to him in the previous video. Let's take a look.
Almost 19 days ago, we saw police leave a bit earlier with a crowbar and battering ram. They were able to force their way in and find Cleo. And we're told it was tears of emotion and joy for the hundreds of officers here, and including some of the more senior officers, including Cole Blanche and Chris Dawson, the Deputy Commissioner and Assistant Commissioner, who are working on this case, have been working on this case tirelessly with all the officers who are involved. Cleo reuniting with her family here today, this morning in Carnarvon, and residents here in the street have been waking up to the news. They've been glued to this coverage as much as everyone else around the country has been. There wasn't too many noises, I guess, here early when that raid was conducted, but people here did see Cleo be taken out by detectives. They say she looked well, other than being a bit scared and frightened, but the fact that she hasn't had to go to hospital, and we're told she is in good spirits this morning with her family, still.
Oh, she did.
Here in Carnarvon. It's fantastic news. It's news that no one really thought would be possible. And now it is the job of forensics, as you can see behind me. They have a big job ahead. They're only just starting, I guess, their investigations here at the property. Lots of residents, as you can see a little bit further in the background, certainly keeping an eye on things. They say the man who lives at this property is known to them. They don't know a whole lot about him. He isn't known to the family, we're told, and he is assisting now police, of course, with those inquiries. We're yet to have any charges laid, but there is expected to be an update a little bit later in the day. The town of Carnarvon here has been holding out hope for so long, and this good news is now...
Some people, there's a whole big conversation in the chat about Pat Cox said they're saying he's Native Australian Aboriginal. He's not nervous. Okay. Some people thought otherwise, but they say that's maybe a cultural thing. Some people get nervous though when they're talking to the media, and so people kind of like dissect everything. I don't know. Chat's going crazy.
Now been rewarded. Cleo Smith is back in
Australians don't play
today, along with her little sister Isla as well too. It's fantastic news, and we wait now to find out more information as to where this investigation heads next.
Josh, how is the community feeling there, knowing that information that you've shared? That at this stage we are aware that there is no link between.
Yeah, people are saying that's normal. That's how Indigenous Australians from rural communities generally sound like. Or specifically talking about the sound, we're talking about the fidgeting and stuff, but I just chalked it up to nervousness, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's not the end all be all
between this man and the family, that it appears to be a random incident. It must send shockwaves through the community.
It certainly has. A couple of the neighbours we've spoken to next door have just been surprised, really, that she would be right here. And that is, I guess, one of the more surprising elements of this development this morning, that Cleo has been found in Carnarvon, the town she calls home, the town she goes to school. There were fears that she may have been long gone in other parts of WA or even other parts of the country. And this is such a massive area where she went missing around the blowholes campsite. There were so many roads leading away, dirt paths tracking away. So to be found here in this home behind me, like I said, just 7 minutes away from the family home, is incredible. But there is a bit of shock, a bit of surprise, I guess, from the residents here. But in saying that as well, there's also a sense of relief, because in so many of these cases, sadly, these children are either never found or it's the worst possible scenario, and the hope was certainly fading as the days continue to drag out. But the fact that she's been found and someone is now in police custody, I guess it gives the town here in Carnarvon a sense of comfort that they can hopefully return to feeling safe in their community and safe at the campsite, which is a very popular holiday spot here. So this is certainly the result that everyone was hoping for, even if there'd been a little bit of faith lost over the last couple of days. But it will be a story I'm sure this town will be long remembered for. But most importantly, will also allow these residents here to go back to their homes and their lives with a sense of safety and security.
Josh, paint us a picture of the street there, the home. It seems reasonably private, a high fence, it's got shrubs in the front. People walking past outside would have been none the wiser that there'd be a little girl inside there. The neighbourhood, show us around and give us a sense of what they're dealing with, at the shock that one of the biggest police investigations in Australia this year and for a long time has landed on their doorstep.
Yeah, a very normal, quiet suburban street, Davina, and like I said, I mean, it's a small town, Carnarvon here. There's only about 4,000 people here, so quite a small, connected community. Everyone here knows each other. People walking past well aware of who was living at this home, and well aware of everyone else is around. So, I mean, just the fact that it's just around the corner from where the family lives gives you a real sense, I guess, of how close this is all to everyone. So to be here in the community is a real shock, and it is, like I said, a very normal street. Police have been, over the last number of days, going door to door as some detectives now arrive here at the scene to ramp up this investigation. They've been collecting CCTV, talking to hundreds of campers, also talking to people who might have been around the area. So they've been visiting homes here in Carnarvon. We've seen them going out, speaking to people. So there's every chance that they might have already been past this home, might have spoken to someone in this street without potentially knowing how long Cleo was here for. And that is the reality. We don't know how long she was here for, but to think she may have been in here for the extension of 18, 19 days is terrifying, really, but also incredible that she's been able to be found alive and well. I might just, Kev, come with me and I'll just have a bit of a chat. This is Henry, who's spoken with us a couple of times this morning. Henry, thanks for your time again. Can you just quickly run us through. You actually saw Cleo in the early hours of the morning when she first came out. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I saw her early hours in the morning while we was up there standing around. They bring her out, in the car. Oh, they bring her out and put her in the car, But we seen her, she was on the detective's shoulder. They had her tight, up on his arm, They put her in the back, and I came over here, rushed over here quick ways, and seen her there. She looked at me, she's a bit scared.
Guys, I know we spoke about this a little bit earlier in the day, but how surprised are you knowing that she was right here in a community right next door to you, almost?
Just feel, I don't know, I just can't believe it and get over, like, she's just the house down from us, and she's been locked up here for a couple of weeks, eh? Going on 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And she's just straight across from us, and like, I got little sisters there, and I just, I'm just down, and but he been acting like a bit strange lately. Like, he'll get in his car, drive that fast, and like he doesn't have his dog at the front. Like, he have his dogs at the back, but through all this week he had his dog at the front, and he's been acting like weird, like.
Well, thanks again for your time, guys. Davina, there you go. You get a bit of a sense from the locals here about what it's like on this street, and I guess some of their surprise and amazement when they themselves saw Cleo Smith found.
Through that waving at the camera.
The whole community's been hoping for this moment, and it's now here, and hopefully we get a little bit more details as the day goes on, and we'll bring that to you right across the day here on 9.
Josh, stay with us at the moment, because in about 90 seconds we are expecting to see the Premier Mark McGowan speak. You'll see the box at the bottom of the screen there for the viewers. Josh, in terms of Cleo, how she's going this morning, we've heard from police that she's alive and well. We have received an update this morning to say that she has been taken to hospital, but the initial report was that she was okay, despite the fact that she spent so long away from mum.
Which is, incredible, and I guess only natural that now she has headed to hospital for some checks. But the fact that she wasn't taken straight there in an emergency capacity, there's no ambulances were called or anything like that. So it is fantastic news, but also I guess a bit surprising again after having spent so much time away from her family, and whether it was locked in a room here in this house behind me for that long, whatever had happened, as I said, is still yet to be known. But to have her knowing that she is mostly safe now and mostly healthy and well will be a massive release, of course, for her parents, who have been no doubt enduring the most harrowing stress that any parents could go through, and have been the subject of some really harsh speculation and scrutiny, unfortunately, which has been very sad. But they've been helping out every step of the way, the police investigation, and have not been considered suspects, of course, in any stage of this. So it's still been a very tough time for them over the last couple of weeks, undoubtedly. But now they get that joy, they get that first breakfast this morning, they get that moment to cherish, and obviously this will be something that they will have with them forever. They are survivors, essentially, of this case, and not many people, I guess, get the chance to say that and to hold their girl close. So I think they'll be certainly doing that this morning for days to come, weeks to come, I'm sure, Davina, as well.
Josh, talk to us about the police investigation. You've been on the ground there for a week there. You've watched how emotionally vested they are in this case. From the blowholes campsite that is extremely remote to come to Cleo's hometown there, where they've found her just a few minutes away from the house that she lives in with her family. The police investigation has been meticulous. It's been desperate at times. We heard a $1 million reward put up for information, and yet today the needle in the haystack, the breakthrough that many people didn't think was going to happen.
Giant dog.
Hopefully they don't copyright that.
No, and it came through late last night. We're told a little piece of information that somehow got police to this home, and we're not exactly sure what it was, but we have heard that the gentleman who's being questioned by police has come and gone with some groceries, so whether there was something that triggered them to an alert. But it's been a massive police operation. There's been all level of specialist services. The AFP have been helping out and have offered their assistance. There's been police air wing drone operators who for the last 4 or 5 days have been...
I think you guys are like completely lost in the chat, like arguing about this stuff, which is not even really what we're focused on. So, I mean, the chat is being moderated, but just calm down. All right, chill out.
Flying drones along the blowholes road and the campsite, mapping out an area, trying to see if there's any forensic disturbances on the ground. And as I said, forensics here, detectives here have been working overtime. These forensics you're seeing in these pictures at the moment, they themselves went to the family home 3 times. They spent about 7 hours one night actually inside the home, combing through for evidence, looking through all the rooms. Of course, they had to consider all the possibilities in this case. And detectives, of course, as well, have been working non-stop, heading out and about through all the different homes that have been come up that different campers have since returned to, keeping in touch with them along the way. So there's been no shortage of effort thrown at this. 50 officers here in Carnarvon, another 50 based in Perth, continuing to work around the clock and continuing to try to hunt for that information. Even rubbish was collected.
A child was found. They just want to argue with each other. It's like, come on.
From about 600 kilometre stretch of WA from bins. So they've been searching high, they've been searching low, and as you said, somewhere in there was a needle in the haystack, and they've been able to uncover it, and it's led them here, it's led them to an arrest, and most importantly, it's led them to finding Cleo alive and well.
And we've heard that the police air wing has arrived in Carnarvon this morning. It is anticipated that they will return to Perth with the 36-year-old man on board. He hasn't been charged at this stage, simply arrested. Josh, have they got any indication at this stage from police of whether their investigations stop at this one man, or are they looking much further?
No indication yet, Davina, but we've been told from police that this is the one place that they are looking at the moment, and the sense from the relief that this is hopefully the man that they were looking for, and this was the person that they can prosecute now. But there will be a lot more investigations to come from this, whether there was any link with the family or any other link, or most importantly as well as to why they were at the blowhole site and how this all came about. But at this stage you get the sense that there's not any further sort of suspects at this stage, and that this was potentially a one-man operation. But again, this will be the focus now of these forensic officers who are setting up for what will be no doubtably a long day ahead, combing through this house to try to get the information and get the evidence that will formulate the story and put all these details that we're receiving together.
And the car, Josh, talk to us about the vehicle. There's a vehicle in the driveway there. We heard so much about this one clue that police were operating on, this screeching tyres that was heard at the campsite. It seemed to be the only definitive link that police had at this stage. How much are forensics focusing on that this morning?
Yeah, so you can see it there in camera there, Davina, and that will obviously be a massive focus for them. It's a Mazda car around a bluish sort of grey colour there you're seeing on your screens now. And we heard that there was the biggest lead really was 2 witnesses who spotted a mystery car.
Apologies, Josh, we're going to have to cut you off. We're going to take you to the Premier Mark McGowan speaking in Perth.
Deputy Premier and Health Minister Roger Cook, and good morning to everyone. It's a very exciting day. I know we're all so pleased and so happy with the great news that little Cleo Smith has been found alive and well. It's a remarkable, exciting, uplifting news that was a surprise, I'm sure, to all of us, but the result of some great police work by some great people. I'd like to especially acknowledge the West Australian Police, and in particular Superintendent Rod Wild, who led the task force into these matters up in Carnarvon. He had around 100 officers working full-time on this project, and then there was a whole range of volunteers, SES volunteers and everyone else across the community who did some amazing work searching for little Cleo. I'd like to also acknowledge the analysts, the behind-the-scenes people. I just spoke to some of them just now, in particular Arlene and Matt, but also the rest of the team of 10 people who did a lot of the analytical work behind the scenes, looking at various forms of technology that very much assisted in solving this mystery, and I'd like to thank them for their work. Can I thank the Commissioner and all the rest of West Australian Police? I've spoken to a range of them this morning for all of their work, and thank the community of Carnarvon who provided support and assistance and information that helped uncover what has occurred here. So everyone involved, just a marvellous job. It's an amazing piece of police work, amazing piece of detective work. I think this will be looked at by police forces around the nation and indeed around the world as to what can be done if you have the right people and the right way of looking at it, and you do it methodically with determination, which is exactly what has occurred here. So congratulations to West Australian Police. Can I finally also acknowledge Ellie and Jake, Cleo's parents. They've been through a lot over the last 18 days. Terrible trauma, some vicious attacks, and some, no doubt, very, very trying and sad times. So to them, I know all of our thoughts go to them. And we're so pleased that little Cleo has been taken back to them. So it's just an exciting, uplifting, wonderful day. And I'm sure we're very proud.
Given that this is going around, can we ask you some questions about this first before we go
If
to
you-
the next audio?
yes, if you like.
Did you expect this, Premier? Did you expect this morning?
Well, I got a message at 1:38 this morning from the Police Commissioner. I didn't answer it. I was asleep. But I did, I woke up at about 3 and I saw the message, so it was a great piece of news. And he sent me a photo of little Cleo in a hospital bed sitting there smiling, so it was a wonderful piece of news. So, look, I don't know what to expect in these things. You never know what to expect. You hope for the best, but, you prepare for the worst. It's just an exciting day for all of us.
You talked about the analysts and the data. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more on that as to what you say their role was?
Oh, well, they analyse a lot of the phone material. So they do all of that work. And that's a painstaking job because, as you know, there's thousands and thousands of calls and those sorts of things that can be looked at, but they analyse all that sort of thing and all the social media. So that's a massive task. So they did it methodically in a very painstaking way to uncover information. And so I'd just like to thank them. And as I said, I was just on the phone to them. They were having a team meeting, no doubt all very excited. Arlene, who leads the team, she told me it was great to provide the country with positive news this morning, rather than waking up this morning to something negative. It was great to wake up to some great positive news.
Was it that analytical work that coughed up the clue that finally led the police to Cleo?
Oh, look, I'll let police handle all this, but and they'll have to obviously, there'll no doubt be charges coming from this, so that process has to be gone through. But I think it was a lot of information that put the clues together. So it was both human intelligence, detective work around the town.
Yeah, it's some nice positive news. I'm going to show you a little bit of this article too from the Daily Mail where they talk a little bit about the car and stuff like that. Also the maps, I've shown them several times throughout the stream, how far, from blowholes campsite to the place where she was taken. And also I showed the map where how far and close from the parents' house to this other place, which is like 7 minutes away. I showed it, I think, in yesterday's video too, multiple times everywhere.
And also some of the analytical work. So I just wanted to acknowledge the analysts because, they often don't get acknowledged, and so it's important they are acknowledged. But also the police team on the ground. Police sent 63 officers up to Carnarvon who've been working full-time on this for the last 18 or 19 days. So that's been a massive effort, plus all the other police officers there, plus all the community volunteers out searching the bush out there. It's been a remarkable effort.
Premier, you said that Australia's woken to some good news because in these situations, invariably it's bad, they're not resolved, or there's a tragic outcome. So, it is an amazing experience to go through this morning.
Yeah, it often is a tragic outcome, but this is great news and uplifting for the entire country, and especially for those people who put their heart and soul into finding little Cleo, and I know they're so proud and pleased of what has been achieved. And often unacknowledged, police officers are often unacknowledged for what they do, and I want to make sure that we all acknowledge them for what they've done, all the people who did the work to solve this. It's one of those cases that, you're really quite unsure it'll ever get solved, but it was, and solved in a good way in that she's come home alive and well.
You said that you expect other police forces around the country will probably look at this. What do you think it was about their approach?
Well, they put their heart and soul into it, and they used the best of technology, and they also used all of their instinct, and they didn't leave any stone unturned. So they did all of that at once. I was talking to the analyst just now. I said, there'll be movies made about this.
Oh, another ad.
Talking about who would play who. I've got a few ideas as to who might play who, but they were very, very excited by what they've done. And I was talking to the commissioner. He was so excited, he was almost emotional about finding little Cleo, and the deputy commissioner as well. And as I said, Superintendent Rod Wild, I spoke to him this morning. He's just about to fly up to Carnarvon to join his officers, so he deserves a lot of credit as well.
For those officers who actually busted into the house and found her, must have been an amazing moment. I know we can't know how that they felt, but it must have been amazing.
Well, I was told about that. They burst in. I think it was nearly just before 1 o'clock this morning, and they found a little girl, and she said, "My name is Cleo," and apparently it's recorded on a video. So that's no doubt an amazing piece of video, and it must have been just one of those spine-tingling moments when she said her name and they picked her up. So just a wonderful moment for all of us.
Do you anticipate that that reward helped in any way, and will you be paying any rewards for people who helped?
I don't know the full answer to whether anything's been paid, but I do know that these sorts of rewards do excite interest and conversation, and so the police have said that these sorts of things do help. So if there's people who have legitimately got a claim on it, we'll obviously we'll examine that very closely.
Obviously, it's a pretty incredible outcome, but it is also extremely concerning that.
Yeah, I saw a couple of comments, and I referenced this other person earlier. If something did happen to her in that nature, I think they should probably just keep that to themselves. Because, yeah, especially one day, unless she decides one day when she's older to come out with that. But when things like that happen to kids, I think that should be kept, if they're alive and stuff, that should be kept just to the family, unless they decide to whatever,
Yeah, a little girl was abducted from her tent, metres away from her family. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Well, it's remarkable. I mean, that this could happen, that someone could do this. It's an awful thing to do, but it's also a remarkably brazen and shocking thing to do, and to go to someone's campsite and unzip their tent and take their little girl. It's beyond belief, really.
Because they want to cancel me, Tiffany. Why are they wondering what I'm laughing at? Because they want to cancel me.
That someone would do that. Like many people, I love going out in a tent and camping, particularly with my children, and the idea that someone would come and steal your child away is beyond awful.
Do you know of extra officers being sent in to Carnarvon to keep the peace, and what's your message to locals in Carnarvon?
Well, my message to all the locals in Carnarvon is thank you for helping solve this. This is a time for joining together and for supporting one another. It's not a time for trouble or turmoil. So that's my message. The Commissioner's going to Carnarvon from the Kimberley as we speak. He'll be sending the same message as well. It's a time for joining together and sharing in the success of finding little Cleo, not engaging in any other sort of trouble.
Are you going to speak to Cleo's parents? Have you spoken to them?
I haven't. I haven't spoken to them as yet. I suspect they're spending time with their daughter. But I've been. It's a really nice experience as Premier, I can tell you, to talk to police officers who have achieved this and analysts who've done it, and it's a privilege for me, to be honest, to talk to them. People who do these jobs are so technically competent and highly trained and devoted. So just to give them a ring and say hello and say thank you is my privilege, and it's one of the joys of the role.
And Premier, any thoughts for the families? Obviously, we're celebrating today, but who haven't had this sort of outcome, who've lost children or loved ones?
Well, obviously these events are emotional for those sorts of families, very emotional. So no doubt all of our thoughts go to those families, and we know there's some out there. And we always hope for the best, and we never stop trying.
And you mentioned before that there's a picture of Cleo in hospital smiling. Can you share any more details about her condition?
No, I don't know any more about her condition, except what she said to the officer who found her, and I saw a photo of her sitting in bed smiling. So that's a lovely photo to see at 3 o'clock this morning. So that was very pleasant. My phone was running hot, all night, but it was because there were so many people who were excited by what had occurred and wanted to let me know. So I appreciate all of that, and in particular, as I said, all our police officers, volunteers, analysts, the Carnarvon community who helped, and especially Ellie and Jake, who'd been through a lot. So what I might do is do an update on COVID if they...
All right, so that's when they go on to update other stuff. But and I'm going to get to the article.
63 officers who were sent to Carnarvon on the ground, and in particular the...
Struggling here. Facebook. There we go. Oh, this was the moment. I'll show it again. I showed this already earlier, but I'll show it real quick again because it's really short. For anybody new that's joining. And please, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting like, I'd appreciate it. It really helps out the stream. Thank you for coming. We had some issues today with the internet, all that good stuff.
And my name's Cameron. How are you? Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay? Is that good?
Crazy, huh?
My name's Cameron. How are you? Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay? Is that good?
And so with this, I just wanted to, let me see, skip to a part. So we know the guy's 36 years old. He was, according to this, he was not in the home when it was raided and not known to Cleo's family. So supposedly he has no relationship that they know of so far to the family. He's not a registered offender. I know some people asked about that as well. And really quickly, again, even though we showed this multiple times, but for the new people, this is the house where she was at, and this is where the family's home is. It's about 7 minutes away. And the police station was actually like 2 minutes away. I don't think we need to keep rehashing the same things over and over. And that's the campsite, Blowholes, Carnarvon, Western Australia. And oh yeah, there was some information about the vehicle that I wanted to read to you guys. And supposedly this neighborhood is it's like a cul-de-sac. And it's a neighborhood where normally it's bustling with children playing in their front yards or at the park across the road during daylight hours. They said the neighbor said he was a loner that kept to himself and was not the type of person anyone else in the street would have a yarn with. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe like a conversation or something. Maybe that's an Australian term. Have a yarn with, despite being a long-term resident. He last saw the man just 3 days after little Cleo disappeared. Former friends say the man had not long been freed from jail. So they're saying, I guess he was locked up recently. His grandmother raised him, but after she died a year or so ago, nobody went over to yarn to him. Maybe somebody in the chat could tell me, does that mean like have a conversation or something? Like to converse with somebody? Yarn? Is that an Australian thing? He got a new car after he used to park it in the driveway and then close to the gate every day. Always went and put the car in the same spot and closed the gate. And this is supposedly, oh, that's what that means. All right. Thank you guys. This is supposedly an image of this guy. We'll look at the video real quick again. I think we'll definitely be revisiting this story because I'm feeling like there's probably going to be more. I don't know how it works over there in Australia if they're going to divulge more information, but I'm thinking there's got to be more that's going to come out about this guy. And I just wonder if he's done this before or was this the first time? It's also interesting. It says that his grandmother raised him, but after she died a year or so ago, but she died about a year ago. I remember thinking, and it reminds me of like this whole serial killer, this one guy, not saying this guy's a serial killer, but that this guy, he had all these things inside of him that he's been harboring for a really long time. And I think he was living with his mother. And so he was just holding it for all these years. Sometimes he would go out and do things or whatever. And finally, when his mother passed and died, he had the place to himself. I can't remember which killer it was. That's when he started doing all these weird things and bringing people over and doing all this kind of stuff that he's never gotten to do before because his mother passed away. Let me see if I can replay the ambulance clip for us. Oh, this is the clip too.
Yeah, but he been acting like a bit strange lately. Like he'll get in his car, drive that fast, and like he doesn't have his dog at the front. Like he have his dogs at the back. But through all this week, he had his dog at the front, and he's been acting like weird, like you know.
It's kind of crazy because you never know what your neighbors are doing, you know. And they always say, you know, the phrase, "It takes a village." I've always felt some type of way about that phrase. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I also feel like the village is corrupt, or you don't know who within that village is, you know, a perpetrator or one of these weird people that are doing these kind of things. And a lot of times too, the village, it really is corrupt. You hear about all these crazy stories with teachers, sometimes even like law enforcement, or even in the daycare. These people in positions that they're supposed to be like looking after kids. A lot of those people put themselves in those positions too to be closer to kids. Let me see if I can find a thing about the car too. Another local described the man in custody as an oddball. He's a very quiet guy, a bit of an oddball. Definitely wouldn't have picked him. It has completely derailed me. I'd heard whispers. I kind of figured the police might have had an idea of what was going on because I have never seen such a massive amount of cops here for so long. Others said in the recent weeks he bought food he didn't usually buy, and that he moved his dog that usually stayed in the backyard to the front yard. So he changed a couple of things in his normal routine, I guess. The officers were seen carrying a crowbar and a battering ram out to the house. Deputy W.A. Western Australia Police Commissioner Cole Blanche said Tuesday night's tip, which they said there wasn't a tip, I don't know, said Tuesday night's tip was the final piece of the puzzle that allowed detectives to finally track down Cleo. We've collected phone data, witness statements, DNA, fingerprints, rubbish along the highway, CCTV. We've collected everything. The $1 million reward helped us with collecting even more from the members of the public. Everyone came forward to help us. There were car movements, there were phone movements, there were I don't even know how to say that. Antecedents? I don't know. Of people. They're gonna get me. The jigsaw fit the puzzle. They're gonna get me. I'm gonna get emails, all this kind of stuff. Oh, you didn't know that. We had to find that needle. Last night that needle in the haystack came out and they acted in a heartbeat. So the vital tip-off was the last piece of the puzzle in a case that until then frustrated and eluded detectives. I don't know exactly what it was. They said that supposedly there wasn't a tip-off. It was just people doing analytical, whatever, investigation, forensics. So, I don't know, man. It's pretty amazing. And I heard that supposedly the biological father hasn't been really around in a long time. That's what I heard. I don't know. And he was ruled out as a suspect. And the police, I'll say the police did a good job too of stating it, that the parents aren't involved, because a lot of people thought, when people ask me, I don't know. That's what I kept saying. I don't know. There's a bunch of body language experts that were like delving in, but supposedly the body language experts from Australia or somebody on the article, they said that they seemed like genuine and innocent. I don't know how well that stuff works. I thought it was, at first I did think it was kind of weird though that they kept going back to the house. I think they've been there, to my knowledge, at least 3 times. But all in all, good news for the family. They have a whole timeline here too of all the incidents. Really good timeline. That dingo story to me too, I thought that story was so good. I think it really kind of ties in somewhat with this, as far as, you know, not a dingo took the baby from this, obviously, because the way the tent was, but the whole thing where the public was going for the mother and didn't believe her and attacking her and doing all this crazy stuff to the point where they even got locked up. And then I think what happened was they found the baby's clothes like in an actual like cave or something of dingoes. And the baby's clothes were there, so she got let out of jail, and I think she got some money and all this stuff. Can we get this article read fully? All the information on here is things we've already covered, so I don't think we need to go over the timeline. They were quoting at the beginning of the article, they were quoting what we already saw in the press conference. So I already skimmed it before we started the stream. But yeah, no, I think we need to be careful when people... I mean, it's one thing to have it like some sort of like opinion or thought. It's another thing to start trolling and harassing families and sending people to their homes and doing all that kind of crazy stuff that people do these days, and accusing and stating things as a fact when you don't know. And you really have to keep an open mind with things. It's just dangerous when you're stating things as fact and you don't even know, or it's absolutes. And then especially if you have a platform, you know, it comes with some sort of responsibility. Some people don't have that responsibility. They just do whatever, say whatever. I guess it's entertaining for some people. The Chamberlains have blood in their car and their camera case. I don't remember exactly. We watched the documentary. It was really good. I forgot what they said about that, but they weren't guilty. So all in all, good news, man. And thank you for all the people that have joined Discord. Been a lot of people joining. I think we're at 1,600 members. I've been kind of taking a little bit of somewhat of a break. I haven't been doing too many live streams. I just need to take some time for myself and just handle some things personally. And I've always liked to kind of pause and just reassess. I've still been putting out videos, but to pause and reassess and then come back at it again. So and yeah, we've covered this story. I've covered it a couple of times. And because Kata was recommending it to me, she's from Australia. We have a little bit of an Australian audience, so they've requested it a couple of times. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I think like this will make the 6th video. So I mean, it's nice to have good news for a change. Some people can't handle good news. You saw the chat earlier. Chat was going crazy. Just like, oh my God. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for joining, man. I appreciate it. You guys take care. Please hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe, turn on the bell with all notifications. Friday, I have a nice little thing for the members on Discord. It's going to be short, but something with Justin Sywick. It's really interesting. I don't want to say too much right now, but it's going to be interesting, and it's only going to be a Discord thing. So that'll be Friday. And also with another story that I covered recently, there is an interview coming up. I have somebody helping me out with the questions and the format of the interview. This person went out of town, but when they come back into town, I'm going to be talking to him. It's a father of a missing woman. So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Things are coming. Things are coming. Things are coming. And then, like I said, in December, I'll be done with Comcast. Done. I don't care if I have to pay a cancellation fee. Done. I'll gladly pay that cancellation fee here. There's nothing they can say to keep me. And we'll have some new service. So hopefully I can start streaming again to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And we'll have smoother connections. Can't deal with Comcast anymore, man. How do I find Discord? There's a bunch of links right now in the live chat. You just click the link and it'll take you to there, and you got to check out the rules. You can also go on Discord and just type in iCkEdMeL or anything, and you'll find us there as well. Hey, Latina, hope you're doing good. Good to see you. But I'm going to go have some lunch. I'm going to work on some other stories. So, but yeah, thank you so much, man. Take care of yourselves. Peace. Adios.